Hello, hello, my friends. AmyR here with Prairie Paper and Ink. Welcome back to my face, my card making space, and holiday cards. If you're new here, this year, so far the first year ever, that I am doing at least one holiday card video a month, more so to alleviate a little bit of the pressure of creating a ton of holiday cards in the fall. And I've kept up with it. My plan has been to post a new holiday card video on the 25th of each month because it seems fitting. It's a hit and a miss. And this month it's a miss. But I got them done. Everything's ready to go. I used the Waffle Flower Postage Collage wafer die set and then some of the different random add-ons and whatnot. And again, if you're not familiar, I love the Postage Collage series. There's a lot. I have a video series. It'll be in the end screen at the very end of this video with just all the videos I've done since Waffle Flower started releasing the Postage Collage products. And the fun thing with this is you could choose to forego the Postage Collage look and use just the blocks, and I'll explain that when I get to it. And yeah, everything I used will be listed and linked in the description box below the video. My links are affiliate links. That just means that if you click on one of my links and end up placing an order, I do get a little kickback from that at no extra cost to you. That is what helps pay the bills, keeps the lights on, keeps the channels going. And then I will also put in the end screen my playlist for this holiday card series because I will just continue to add to it throughout the year and we'll just see where everything goes. So that's all of the housekeeping. Let's get into making the cards. All right, so this style of card, great way to use up a good chunk of pattern paper. For these cards, I'm using the Waffle Flower Season's Greetings pattern paper pack. This came out last year, I think. Pretty sure it came out last year or the year before. It's still available, but I've had it sitting here, and I just started going through it and picking out patterns that I wanted to use to make little gifts out of. Again, this is where it could get a lot of fun because depending on the pattern paper you have, you could make your own patterns, use stencils and dies and all the things and just make a bunch of backgrounds and then die cut them and turn them into little gifts. And then the other thing, like while I was doing this, I was like, these would make such cute birthday cards. Just do totally like non-holiday theme, Sky's the limit. Love. So I picked out a bunch of patterns. And I am going to die cut them with the Postage Collage blocks wafer die. And another thing with this style, I'm doing the A2 size one because that's just my go-to. I prefer making A2 size cards. However, with the Waffle Flower Postage Collage, they do have the blocks dies now for all the different sizes. So the A7, slimline, etc., etc. So you could use those instead and mix it up and do that size instead. I used the A2 blocks and then I just die cut. I just sat and die cut these. You could die cut like just the full sheets. I was kind of mixing it up in the beginning there, like trimming apart some of these patterns and flipping them over. And because honestly, I wasn't exactly sure when I started, like what I planned to end up with. So I just wanted a variety, but the fastest method would have just been to run full sheets through with the wafer die. Because at least with this pack, you get multiple sheets of these patterns. So I didn't even really put that much of a dent in it. And I could have just die cut the full sheets. But hindsight, whatever. So I just sat and die cut. And this entire little project is definitely something where you could mass produce just a ton. Just a ton. Because you could just die cut tons and tons of backgrounds or pattern papers or whatever. And then I just made little piles of the same sizes in a little tray. And then I can like come back to it when I'm ready for the next step. And then off camera, I didn't show it, but I die cut the actual postage collage. But like I was saying in the intro, you could skip that and use just the blocks and the bows and whatnot. So the bows these were released last month or earlier this month, recently. You guys, I can't remember. I don't even remember what day it is half the time. But anyway, it's the Postage Collage Gifts die set. And it has 3 different wafer dies that die cut bows, and then a second layer to add like dimension to the bow, and then a wafer die that'll cut 2 strips for like the ribbon or the wrap, around the gifts. So this is where, like I was saying, you could just use the postage collage gifts and the blocks and just create like presents. It doesn't need to be with the postage collage. I just like the postage collage. I like the look. I love it. Anyway, options, because then you could do different layouts. You could stack them, all sorts of things. So I die cut the bows and like the ribbon from just various specialty cardstocks, and I will have them, all the ones I used, listed and linked. I just dug through my stash. This first one that I'm using is Lawn Fawn's Pearlescent cardstock. I picked this up a couple months ago. It's newer and it's pretty. I've used the Lawn Fawn Pearlescent Vellum in a bajillion videos. Love it. This is just the same thing in cardstock form. Perfection. And of course, like just flat on camera, it doesn't look like anything special, but in real life, it's all like shimmery and love. So I use that. I use some metallic red cardstock, some metallic gold cardstock, some green glitter cardstock, and some blue pearlescent cardstock. Yeah, it was navy Dazzle. So yeah, I'll have those all linked. And then, I use the Postage Collage wafer die. And I just die cut a bunch of panels of white cardstock. This is something that I actually, when I have a little bit of free time, I'm talking like a few minutes, a lot of times I'll just run this die through with cardstock, and then I just set them with all of the like stencils, everything else, because I use this one a lot, as you can tell by my playlist. So I had a whole bunch of these already die cut. And so it was just a matter of pairing up the various squares of the pattern papers, and then I would add the little strips of the specialty cardstock and a bow. And it's just, this was fun, and it's really cute. And like I said, you could do like, do different color combos, do birthday, like for birthday cards or wedding cards. That would look really cute too, depending on just the color combo you use. And this is where, I'm sure a lot of you are in the same boat as I am. You've got a stash of pattern paper, just our curated collections that we've got bajillions of. Dig through that. Such a fun way to use them, in my opinion. So I just worked my way through and ended up doing 4 full panels of these postage collage. I actually did 5, but the 5th one I trimmed apart and I used on the inside. But with what I had die cut, I got 4 panels, so aka 4 cards out of. But like I was saying, you could, if you wanted to do 100 of these, it would just be a matter of taking the time to do the die cutting, really, And it was definitely one of those things where it's like, once I had figured out sort of, where I was going with everything, just like die cut the pattern paper, do that in one sitting, sit in front of watching a movie or whatever and just die cut. And then same with the postage collage blocks, or the like actual postage collage piece. And then the bows, I did the same thing. I just die cut all the specialty cardstocks, and then I would set it all aside and then start assembling. And once they're all together with the bows on them, they're so cute. So I did all of that, set those aside. I decided to add a little bit of texture to the backgrounds. I pulled out this sweet plaid texture die from Waffle Flower. I've used this one so many times. It's one of my favorites. This is one of those ones where all it does is pierce and press in a pattern. It does not die cut at all. There's no die cut around the edge. And I love that. Love it. So I ran that through with various A2 size pieces of just solid color cardstock. And then all my card bases are top folding A2 white note cards, so 5.5 by 4.25 inches. And on the insides of all the card bases, I'm stamping a sentiment, and that is from the Waffle Flower, and of course I've already misplaced it. Here it is. Holiday Cheer stamp set. So I chose one sentiment from the set, and I'm just inking it up with VersaFine Clair Nocturne ink and stamping that onto the inside of all of my card bases. And then when I show at the end, when I open all the cards, you'll see I had taken one of the Postage Collage Gifts sets there, and I trimmed them apart and then adhered some of the individual gifts onto the insides of the cards just to give it that little extra something. So then to assemble my cards, all I did was I took the solid cardstock panels that I had run through with the sweet plaid texture die, and I trimmed them down a little bit. I trimmed down to like 4 by 5 1/4 a bit, just so that the card base could give it that little, bit of a frame around it. And then I adhered the Postage Collage background to that with craft tacky glue. You could totally pop this up with foam tape if that's, what you want to do. It always just depends on my mood. With these ones, I decided to just adhere everything because I already have like a lot of layers going on with just all of the die cuts. And then speaking of layers, my sentiments. I used the Merry Christmas print die and the Happy Holidays print die from Waffle Flower. And the words I die cut from that Pearlescent cardstock. And then the outlines I die cut from black. And I broke my own little rule here. I only did 1 layer for the words. Since I was doing multiples, plus like I was just saying, I already have like a lot of layers going on. These backgrounds between the, the pattern layer, the postage collage, the blocks of pattern paper, then the ribbon and the bows. A lot of layers. So, and that pearlescent cardstock's actually really heavyweight. Like it's got a good heft to it. So I just adhered the sentiments just as is, 1 layer, but I did decide to put a little bit of Big Mama foam tape behind the sentiments just to pop them up a smidge without creating like a ton of extra bulk. So after I adhered the sentiments together, I put that Big Mama foam tape on the back, and then I'm going to peel off the backing and then press these to the card fronts, and that's going to be it. No splatter, no bling. I know, kind of insane. However, these are the type of cards that, in my opinion, splatter would have just detracted, and bling was unnecessary. Since I use like the specialty cardstocks, I got all these various patterns. Like there's a lot going on. For simple cards, there's a lot going on. So it was not necessary. And I know, but I always make up for it. My next card's probably going to have 5 different types of splatter and 3 different types of bling. You guys know. But these were fun. And it was just, and then the insides, those little extra pieces, I just adhered them and then trimmed off whatever was hanging off over the edge and still left plenty of room to write to the recipients. And that was it. So like I mentioned in the intro, I will post the playlists for the postage collage videos I've done. That'll be in the end screen. And I'll also post my playlist for this year's holiday card series that, like I said, I'll continue to add to. And then all the supplies will be linked below. So thanks so much for hanging out with me, and I'll see you all very soon in the next video. Bye. Thank you so much to my amazing Patreon supporters. For anyone that might be interested in joining my Patreon community and supporting me, the link to my Patreon is in the description box below the video. For everyone else, as always, thank you all so much for taking the time to watch my videos, for thumbs upping, commenting, subscribe if you haven't, I'd love to have you. And here's a couple other videos for you to check out in case you missed them. Bye!